All right, everybody. Hello. Today we're going to be talking about Cyberforce number 8, which was part of Image's X month. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that before we get into the comic. But I'm not going to sound very enthused because it is raining and I suffer from a pinched nerve. So when it's raining, this thing acts up like arthritis and just causes me pain. I've been going through it for years, but went to a bunch of physical therapy to get it worked out. But this is what happens when you draw a lot. So there you go. Everyone use good posture. That's your lesson for today. But okay, so Cyberforce number 8, part of Image's X month. When I had seen the ads for this in the comics, I got excited because I'm like, hell yes. I love this idea because I want to see these other people and their interpretation of these other people's characters, okay? And they were in a unique position here because they had 6 people as the founding fathers, even though there was originally 7 because of, what took place with Will Spartaccio. He wasn't available because he was not producing Wetworks yet. So they had an even number where they could do a cool swap or whatever and do this. I don't think it worked at all. It was disappointing on almost all fronts. I think the best one that came out of these issues was Spawn by Mark Silvestri. His was without a doubt the best. The artwork was amazing. The story was okay. I just feel that the switch up, I think they were like, let's go with what people won't predict, as opposed to what we might think would be the best fit. Or some, so, Todd Mcfarlane is not a person I would put on a team book. Okay. I would put him on a single character. All right. And it's wild that it's kind of divvied up in that manner, right? When you're talking about these 6 people. So you had Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, and Jim Lee doing team books, okay? And then you had Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, and Jim Valentino doing solo books, okay? Just featuring the one character. And it seems that everybody had switched up from solo to team. That seems to be the way they chose to do it. And I just don't feel like that was the best thing. So, like, if it were given to me, and they asked me, like, who would I have draw what? I think I would have had. So Eric Larson, I feel, can do a team book, right? I feel like, but I feel like Wildcats was not the one for him. I think he would have been better on Cyberforce, to be honest, right? It just seems like something that he would have been able to take to with all the like weird mutant things or anything. That it seems to work a little better with what he had going on in his comic Savage Dragon, right? I think Jim Valentino had done an okay comic for Youngblood. I've seen videos where like he gets a lot of crap for that. You know, uh, because it's like, I don't know, a different story or something like that. He focuses on Bedrock or whatever. But in all reality, I felt like we're talking about Youngblood here. Youngblood, which if you asked me to tell you what the story was, I couldn't possibly do it. I could read 20 issues of that book and never be able to tell you what the hell any character is, what their motivations are, what their backgrounds are, and what the story was. There was no way in hell. The most that we ever got out of that was the Jim Valentino issue that he did for Youngblood. Okay. I would have put Todd McFarlane on Shadowhawk. Shadowhawk is a dark book with some violence in it. I feel like that would have been the way to go. Okay. Yeah, I think he would have been an amazing looking Shadowhawk. And he would have gotten into that. Plus, it's a solo character, so we would have gotten a lot of like just great shots of that guy and everything. I would keep Mark Silvestri on Spawn. when we got Jim Lee on Savage Dragon, now at the time, these guys were like, they started this company, they're putting out these books, and they are doing everything themselves, right? They don't have the team that they had when they were at Marvel, and those people doing everything. They're doing it, right? They're the ones that are setting up, print runs and all this stuff. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stuff for people to go through. When in the end, they're people who just like draw comics, So their schedules were already filled to the max, and books were being late because of it. And not everybody, but most people were trying to bring out a book on a monthly basis. So when you got these crossovers, and you get Todd McFarlane on Cyberforce here, right? I don't, number one, think he was 100% invested. I think he was more invested in Spawn and the toy company and everything that he was doing on his end for his studio, which would make the most sense to me, okay? It's the way I would think about it as well. But, so this is why, you have him do all the pencils, but then you have 4 people come in here and do the inks, okay? He inked some of the pages himself, but we also have Greg Capullo, Mark Pennington, and John Cleary, okay? It was the same thing when Jim Lee did Savage Dragon, okay? We got a lot of different artists from the Homage Studios, doing that book, because again, Jim Lee was handling so many things. I think at the time, Jim Lee was already drawing like 2 or 3 books or something like that. I mean, he's doing covers for almost every book. He's doing Wildcats, and then he also did Deathblow, and he was bringing that out. So I don't know, it was wild. But anyway, the story in this isn't that bad. There were some things that were weird or whatever. But this is a news reporter, I think, and he's just talking about how there's a guy named Louis Blue Lou Allegro who is like being a snitch basically against the Zantini Misfits, which is a mob gang. I'm not sure. The way that this goes on, it's talking about how it's a mob. There are mob-related murders going on, but then they're saying it's gang-related shootings. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, so what we have here is Heatwave watching after Blue Lou here. So he's obviously blue, and they're being bodyguards so that he'll be able to give evidence or whatever. This is wild because somehow. This was the 90s, so we're still using CRT televisions, but like we have this TV down here like that. I don't know, that's just wild to me. Seeing that, I'm just not sure, I do want to just point out something real quick here, right? Like, this is probably the simplest and best looking foot ever, okay? Just knowing that you can just draw this shape here and it's like, woof, that was easy and good. Makes you wonder why Liefeld couldn't pull that off. But anyway, this isn't a Liefeld book, so we'll move on from that. So just then, there's a knock at the door. Heatwave goes to it and asks who's there. And you hear Stryker, right? So when he opens the door, Stryker hits him with his 3 arms. So this is actually a pretty good shot here. Again, while I don't feel that Todd McFarlane's heart was in this book again, I think at this time also he's like working on the Batman Spawn crossover, and he's doing Spawn and he's doing all that. He had a lot going on, right? But the pencils and the way that he does things is pretty dynamic, and I like it. So this is like a great hit, right? You feel all the power here from all 3 fists punching Heatwave. And then he kicks open the door, and with 3 guns, he takes out Blue Lou, okay? And Heatwave is sitting here, and he's like, I've been drugged. I'm starting to hallucinate. At least I think that's what's happening, right? Because he's seeing, his partner burst in and take out this guy, right? Heatwave's having too hard a time getting up. But here's what gets me, because this is the front door, and we have the real Stryker show up now. And he's like, sorry I was gone for so long. And Heatwave just, pow, blasts him, right? So it's not really clear here what took place, because we have, there's only a few feet here between Stryker and Heatwave. Stryker kicks open the door and takes out Blue Lou. And then we have another Stryker show up at a different door saying, sorry, I was gone for so long, okay? And Heatwave hits him, right? We also have another set of double doors here, so I'm not sure where that goes to, but okay, it's a layout of the room, but he hits Stryker with a heat wave or whatever, and Stryker's just like, what the hell happened here? But apparently he got blown into the same room that Blue Lou was in, and then Stryker notices some woman climbing out the window, and he's like, hey, I recognize those legs, right? I buy it. I've recognized legs before. I like legs. So Stryker's like, what the hell? Or actually, Heatwave's like, what the hell's going on, Stryker? And Stryker's like, I think the person you need to talk to just climbed out the window. I don't know. The whole situation here is, he's I guess a little shocked as he's pulling himself out of a wall. He doesn't really seem like he's that angry. He doesn't, he's not hurt, definitely. So apparently Heatwave's blast kind of does nothing to him but throw him to a wall. I guess a little shocked as to what happened to Blue Lou, right? But so little questions or whatever, and so little reaction. They're going to sit there and talk about it for a bit. When Heatwave takes a look out the window, he's seeing a big dude, and he says it. He's really big and he's really fast, but Stryker just saw a woman not 3 seconds before Heatwave looks out there. So from what I believe is they think at this point that there are two assassins that work as a team. There's a big man and there's a woman. Okay, so Heatwave gets in touch with Ripclaw, and Ripclaw was apparently waiting on a rooftop. I guess that was the strategic position for him to be at. It didn't seem to work, but he was on a rooftop and he's seeing. I guess the big guy just going by and throwing people through windows. I guess, or he threw the guy from out of the car. I think that's what we're gonna go with, because Ripclaw lands on the car, which apparently was driving. So I think the big guy stole this car, and that was a carjacking that we saw here. It's not described. You have to kind of put it together from the panels. So Ripclaw lands on the car, and these two decide that they want to, share quips or whatever. There's an assassination is going on. They just failed at their bodyguard job horrendously, but they're going to talk about how one of them was probably getting drunk. So they hop on their motorcycles and they start going after him. The whole time they're arguing. I guess you have to do that. You have to have some way to have some character development, especially when you're doing something that starts off with action, right? Like we're already, several pages in, and this has just been kind of a nonstop ride. Not bad. But when you guys are racing on crotch rockets, you kind of know how loud they are. I'm not sure that they screaming this stuff at each other as they're driving. But anyway, Stryker relates the story, I guess, again, while they're driving motorcycles, of how he goes to a bar and he sees this woman getting hit on by this dude. And apparently she doesn't want that happening. So he goes over to stop it. And he's like, he says seconds later, he's a footnote in history. And Heatwave's like, I don't understand. And Stryker's like, you had to be there. So I guess he's doing, personal joke for himself. I do that. So I can't really say much about it or whatever. But he says that he starts, seeing this woman walk out. So he starts to follow her because there was something about her or whatever. And she holds the elevator for him, and he gets in. And he takes a good long look at her, and he realizes that it's Diana Walker, first girl I ever fell for, right? So some girl from his past that he fell for. And then apparently he was knocked out because he says, then I woke up on the floor with a hell of a headache. So apparently something happened at that point. Okay. So now we come to a car crash. This car is demolished, by the way. There's a hole here, I think, showing that, this monster jumped out of that. And Stryker and Heatwave found this car crash. So now they're looking for tracks and such. So Heatwave says he's going to fly up into the air to see if he can see anything. Stryker's going to take a look. And Stryker apparently has heat vision. So he's seeing this giant, blob giving off heat signature or whatever. So he tells Heatwave, and Ripclaw like kind of comes out of nowhere because I guess Ripclaw was on this car, so he had flown off. They're learning each other that they're fine or whatever. And then we cut to a small farm where this guy is, I guess, maybe looking for his daughter, right? And he's seeing blood everywhere on the ground, and he's like, "Where are you?" And he goes in and he sees his daddy. I'm sorry, his daughter eating something, okay, some animal or something. And he's just like, "Good God." And she's just like, "Sorry, I just felt hungry all of a sudden. But don't worry, I saved the best part for you." Now, I showed earlier that the book was done by 4 different inkers. You had Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, Mark Pennington, and John Cleary. This page to me is John Cleary. John Cleary impressed me because he somehow had the ability to mimic Todd McFarlane the best from everything that I had seen. I'd seen, other people do it or whatever, but for some reason it looked like John Cleary had the best understanding of how to do it. So you could just tell because it's kind of this weird exaggerated thing with the way that he does it. I think he toned it down for this book because he's also just inking over McFarlane's pencils. But this is all John Cleary here. Like, I can tell because I've looked at John Cleary's stuff, and I'm going to do some videos on that because I was, impressed. But here we go. So I guess she was eating the dog. Ripclaw comes across that, because he's smelling all this death. He goes into the barn, and he's just like, what the hell? And then he sees this girl, like, ready to get into the car when he runs into his own father. So, at this point, we could determine that this creature they're after is a shapeshifter, or, he can at least project the image of somebody from their past or whatever to camouflage himself. So here we have Stryker, who... I don't know, he got hurt from something. I guess I don't know what took place because we have Stryker here who runs into Ripclaw. And then so apparently it happened off panel because he's asking like where Stryker is. Stryker didn't answer. Okay. So apparently Stryker got jumped. All right. And now we have Cyblade who finally came out. They don't really show how she showed up or anything or where she was during any of this. She kind of just appears. There's no communications with Cyblade the entire time. Like, she's not asking, "Hey guys, what's going on? And how can I help or do something or whatever." She just appears and she's like taking care of Stryker. And Stryker is again making some kind of poor jokes here about the guy. Blue apparently is going to live. Because he apparently has 3 hearts, and only one of them was taken out. So Heatwave goes to this barn here, or this farm, where Ripclaw is on the ground. So apparently he was taken out by this beast, and later on they get Ripclaw up, and Ripclaw is telling them, like, we're dealing with somebody here who is most likely this mutant hitman named Psych Out, who has the ability to probe your mind, take people from your past, and again camouflage himself in an illusion of that person. Okay, so they need to be wary because as we saw, Stryker saw a girl from his past, and then Heatwave saw Stryker, and then Ripclaw saw his father. So you can see how the pattern goes. So Heatwave's like, okay, let's go find these people. After finding out this information, 30 seconds later, he lands to see his child Dana running towards him. And, I'm sure that, according to this, he lost this child in a horrible incident. And I'm sure that is traumatic, but like we were just told exactly what happens here. And, it's not his first inclination to say this could be the bad guy and to call for help. We immediately, flash back to what happened to Dana. And we can clearly see also that this is definitely Greg Capullo inking this, because you can, Greg Capullo, that's his trademark is those eyes. Okay, so Heatwave is down for the count now. Now this creature is a hitman, and this creature is getting the drop on every member of Cyberforce, and he's getting the drop on them one at a time. And the most that seems to be happening is that they're maybe fainting from, like, seeing these people from their past or something like that. He's drugging them or something. I think it was mentioned earlier that Cyblade, when she was working on Stryker, says there's some scratches here, and this is how they put some chemical in you to, I guess, knock you out or something like that. But he is a hitman who just, took out this snitch, and I feel like he could take out Cyberforce as well. I feel like the people that hired him would be happy about that. But apparently he's not doing that. So I don't know. I just feel like that's a little flaw with the story, is that it doesn't seem to really be any danger. Cyberforce keeps separating, keeps going their own way. Nobody's teaming up, and they're each being taken out systematically, one by one, until the rest of the team shows up to see that they're on the ground unconscious. So they talk to the gas station attendant, not glass station, and the gas station attendant's like, "Oh, you mean these two people who have lived this area all our lives? Yeah, they took this old dirt road somewhere because they told me exactly where they were going, for whatever reason." Okay, so they hop on their motorcycles or fly or whatever and get to, I guess they find it. Now we have this girl, Heather, who believes that this creature, who is Psych Out, is her boyfriend here, okay? Joe. And they're trying to tell Heather, like, "Hey, Heather, that is not Joe. You might want to get the hell out of the way, because that's a giant monster who might kill you." And Stryker is like, "I'm not going to wait here, even though, this woman's right there. I'm going to blast this thing right in the head." And now this is the best part of the book, and it was worth the whole book just for this. But right after this Psych Out gets shot, she runs away, and she's like, "You're not Joe." And he's like, "Heather, wait, I can explain." And she's like, "No way, skank man, I'm out of here." That's the quote of the book. I think I'm going to start doing that with these reviews, is I'm going to find the best quote from the book. That was the quote. "No way, skank man, I'm out of here." But why is this monster trying to be like, "Hey, Heather, wait, I can explain"? Like, the jig is up. They just shot you, okay? I don't know. Maybe he's trying to hold on to the hostage. But anyway, Ripclaw jumps down. Everybody starts fighting. And then I guess we have this helicopter come out. And this helicopter, I think, is trying to get a hold of their hitman, right? So this is a mob helicopter that looks kind of military. Okay. But Heatwave jumps up into the sky, and I'm a little unclear, like, what's going on here. Heatwave is like, "Well, I know a little something about power, and if I had any left, I'd show them." So I don't know what's going on here. Maybe he used all his power to blow up things within the helicopter or whatever, take out the pilot. But then again, we're seeing this here where this guy, Stryker, was the one that shot through there and like killed the pilot, crashing this thing down. I'm not sure. It's not clear to me, and I'm sorry, but there's been several moments in the book that have been like that. So I don't feel like the artwork told me what was happening, or that the story told me what was happening. But anyway, the helicopter crashes on that thing, and then everybody pulls out their guns and shoots it, but they're like, bullets aren't going to be enough. And then Ripclaw comes in from behind or whatever and puts his claws to the thing's head and kills him. Then they find the girl Heather, and they're like, "It's all over now. Let's go take you to see your real boyfriend." That's assuming that he's still alive. Well, I guess he is, because I guess this monster just probed their minds or whatever. And then we get to this thing where they have been, Heatwave had been like, throwing quips at Stryker all comic, about his drinking or whatever. Apparently, he's like an alcoholic or something. And Heatwave is like, "Hey, Stryker, didn't you say you were going out for a beer?" And Stryker's like, "Yes, as a matter of fact. Anybody care to join me?" And everybody joins in. And he says that makes it unanimous, which is kind of a callback to like, a couple pages ago, where they decide that they're going to go after the hitman, which I feel like was like part of their job. I don't know. So I don't know. The story is kind of lacking. The artwork had some okay moments in it, but nothing great. Again, this is one of my favorite things from Image Comics, is that you will get several pages of letters from people sending stuff in, instead of like the one page you used to get in the back of a Marvel comic. You can clearly see this is Mark Pennington here, who was inking this stuff. You can go through and you can see who's doing what. I think it was pretty clear for the most part. In the beginning of the book, you're getting Todd McFarlane inking himself, right? This is all Todd McFarlane stuff, as we can clearly see, right? And, again, it's pretty decent. It's not the best. Take it from a comic book artist that when you have to draw somebody else's characters and you're on your first go, sometimes you're not getting, you're not going to produce the best version of those characters. It takes a month or two to develop that as you're going before you reach that point. But I think he did okay with the stuff. But anyway, okay, so that was one issue of Image X Month. I have a couple of more that I will talk about. But again, guys, my name is Bob. I'm a comic book artist. I'm doing this for fun mostly, but also to build an audience that might be interested in some of the stuff that I do. If you like this video, hit like, because it helps my channel grow. But if you would like to see more, hit subscribe, so that way you'll be alerted to any new videos that I put out. So guys, I want to thank you guys for watching, and see ya.